Okay, 93 Mazda Miata I get to play with now. First thing is missing its mast, radio antenna mast. Now these are 80 bucks, so they ain't cheap. Okay, wasps in here. It's a lot cheaper to just throw another antenna on here, but this one actually works, and since the power antenna works, I figured, you know what, this thing is dead stock, so we're gonna go ahead and put another antenna in it. I hope. I may be missing something here, but we're gonna find out. See what happens. Alright, first step in this is going to be to remove this little nut. I'm using a pair of snap ring pliers, but you can actually use a pair of needle nose. I get a feeling I got a wasp nest to deal with. I'm going to have to deal with that. So I'll take that off of there. I'm going to turn the radio on, see if anything is in here. Hopefully it's got all the parts it needs other than this mast. This will be a piece of cake. Otherwise the antenna's got to come out. Whole power antenna, and then I have to deal with whatever is there. Turning. Okay. Looks like I might have the whole thing in there other than the mast. That comes off, that comes off. I think that part is essential. So I might get really lucky. Let me deal with these wasps. Alright, so I took the new mast and stuck it down in there. Twisted it around a little bit so it dropped in. Now I'm gonna turn the radio off. Let's see if it goes anywhere. Let's see what happens if so I figure out how to turn the radio off first. Okay, well, I give up. I'll turn the key off. Wow. It grabbed it. I might get really lucky. So this looks like the gear teeth are facing inward. I had to put them facing inward. So the next step, so they say, is to simply install this thing antenna on there, put the nut on it, and turn it on and off a few times. So it's got to go in there. That sleeve may have to come out. Looks like maybe. Yeah, it looks like there's more to it. Alright, let me see what's, or is there? Well, that's it. I'll get back to you. Well, I just found the old antenna in the trunk. It's a little different. It goes a little higher. Cable length's a little different. I think the new one doesn't go quite as much, so the cable's a little shorter. But I'm not sure I'm going to pull the antenna, so pull your spare tire out of the way. This connector you push on this little part at the top to get it to release. This is a 10mm, as is everything. If you have doubt, it's probably 10mm. Get this little thingy over here. See, that's connected too. That's probably gonna have to just pop out of there. But that's loose now since I have the nut out of there. Let's just pop right on out. Now we got a part that comes out on the inside. Oh, that's interesting. Huh. Pushing on the inside. One thing you want to make sure of every time you monkey with these things, this has got a drain tube. That'll probably pull out maybe. You want to make sure that drain tube's open, because if it doesn't, if it's not, then any water that gets into the antenna will get up into your electrics and corrode that apart. Interesting. It's got a few extra gizmoids on it. I think that'll just pop off of there. Well, let me get a look at the gizmoids and interesting. Get it out of it, I'll let you know. Okay, the drain tube, you can reach up under the wheel well, and you got to reach up inside, up under a panel, just push it up. This you just pop off. It's just a little squeezy thing. You just push that out of here. This guy over here is your actual antenna connection, so I'm gonna pull that off of there, and then you end up with this guy. We're going to take it apart and see if there's cable left inside there and what the deal. This, I believe, may have to come out, which may take some doing. We shall see. Alright, I'm going to pop this thing off of here. So there's a bracket at the bottom, Phillips there, bracket up here, Phillips, so they'll take this off. Get it out of the way, and we gotta get that. I think it's a 7mm nut to lift this cover off there. Make sure there's no cable stuck up under there. Okay, that you can just lay on the side. Take the nut off. Pop that off of there, and I believe there's a washer right there. Some greasy. This cover comes out. You gotta remember that little washer's right there. I'm just gonna take it off, hold on to it, set it right there. And there's the gear assembly, but you gotta pull this out of here to look in there. There, motor gears. I don't see any cable. Let's see if I can get that. Up as well. Hold on. There. So I just stuck the cable down in here to make sure it's clear, just grease in there. I'm making note that gear teeth have to be facing this direction, so I'll have to make note when I put it back in there which way that goes, and that's going to tell me which way to turn this cable, this antenna cable, when I put it in. You want to get it in there so it catches those teeth. That's going to wrap that thing around there. That's clear. You can actually see all the way down there. You can see that, but there's nothing in there. This is not coming off of there. The cable runs on the outside of it anyway, so I don't see anything in there. It looks clean. I believe this has got to come out of here. I think that's the old antenna mast. It looks like the new one drops down in there, I do believe. Alright, let's put this part back together and start working on that. Reverse order. Interesting. All right. This should be no biggie. Reassemble in reverse order of removal. Yeah, just snug that nut up good. It doesn't have to be torqued down much. Like I said, you want to make sure this line is open. You got something to stick down there. And you gotta go in there. Just to make sure. Yep. Oh yeah, and when you're got that off, you can look down in there and make sure it's open. You want that to drain for sure. Alright. Kudos to Mike the Miata King. I love you too. To get this sleeve out of here, I'm using a 7/16 drill bit, which allows me to grab it. Without crushing the little guy. Pull that out. Interesting. So that presumably will allow the new antenna to drop right on in there. Alright, I think we're in business, except now it's starting to rain. Yeah, let's see if we can get it back up in there. Alright, I'm going to say this bushing, when you look at it, it's got a angle to it, which means it'll go up under the inside of that, so it's going to end up going up in there like so. So I'm going to say the teethy looking parts go down on there. This thing's going to mount like this, so that is going to end up being back, basically back in there like so. It's got some little metal teethish things to hold it in place. No, I really don't feel anything. Well, I guess it doesn't move, so. It's just gonna get slid back up in there. That's gonna get pushed onto there. Before I do that, I'm gonna go ahead and put the antenna on it, which goes up in there. It's gonna go up in there. It'll be a lot easier to do it like this right here. Push that on. The drain grommet will go in the drain hole, which drops into the fender there. The connector, 110mm nut. Okay, I stick my finger in the hole while I'm pushing that up there. When I put it in there, it didn't line up with this hole in here, so I reached up along here and turned that bushing on the inside until it kind of dropped down and allowed this thing to pop up into that place right there, into the hole. Well, it tells you where it's supposed to be. Tube in the drain hole. This little fuse dealy, that just pumps on there. Our connector is just going to go there, and I'm just going to tighten this sucker up. And it looks like my back. The bottom part's going to be in already. So I could just leave the music going in the background. Okay. So that gets turned in that direction. Oh, hard to hold it there. Well, it does give me a second. Oh wait, that's coming up. Alright, let's try that again. Now that it's up, you turn it off to get it to get stuck back in. But I didn't get it in there far enough. Do I can do this? Sure I do. There we go. Pops down a little bit. I just have to twist that really fast. Now, I guess that's going to go down in. Look at that. It goes down in there. So, temporarily, we're going to put just the nut on there. And we're going to turn it on and off a couple times. See if it'll suck it on down there the way it's supposed to. Quits. I'm going to do that a couple times here. I'm losing my battery. Now it's being a little sticky for some reason. Not sure why. Comes up all the way. But it's sticking right there. I do have the other antenna. I'll try that. So in the end, I went ahead and installed this, tightened the nut up on it, and it just gave me a little trouble, but then I just ran it up and down a few times and it cleared up. And see if I can figure out, turn it off. Where's the source button? Fine. And now it works the way it's supposed to. I think the original one probably was flush with that, but I don't know if you can even find original masts anymore. But there you have it. It's been working now for, well, it's probably gone up and down at least a dozen times now, so I would say we're all good. Thank goodness.